What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Everything Entrepreneurial with me, Curtis Harley. This week I was speaking with Eoin Dixon-Murphy. Eoin is a digital marketing agency owner. He owns Castle 33 and it's run in the heart of Dublin City. He also runs an online store, which is the Stoic store. He sells a lot of apparel and some posters all around the Stoic philosophy. He also runs Entrepreneurial Evenings, which is a free monthly event with different teams and guests each month. Right, so let's dive straight into it. So thanks very much for taking some time out of your day to talk to us.
Yeah, no problem.
So would you not tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, where do I start?
Who you are?
My name is Eoin Dixon-Murphy.
Right.
I am, easiest way to say is I'm an entrepreneur. Obviously I wouldn't be on this podcast if I wasn't.
That's true.
But my main role is I run with my business partner Marcus, Castle 33. So we're a digital agency based in town, in the city centre here in Dublin. And outside of that, I seem to have a million and one other things going on. I run an online store called the Stoic store, which we'll probably get into later. I run a monthly event in the city as well for entrepreneurs called Entrepreneur's Evening.
Yeah.
And I have other few little secret projects in the mix.
You wear a cape sometimes as well, don't you?
Yeah, I wear
Like
a cape,
Superman.
the masked crusader. Yeah.
So I'm delighted to have you on podcast. I was dying to do a little interview with you. You have been a really big inspiration to me on my entrepreneurial journey. So just to give a bit of a background, I was working in a company, kind of went flat, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I came across you online, we got chatting, and you said that you needed some help in the meantime. So I came and I worked with your agency and we got to know each other. We had a great time, and a couple of months down the line I decided to go out by my own and do my own thing. But you've been a real big part of my journey, kind of mentoring me and kind of showing me the ropes of things. So I really appreciate that, and I'm really excited to have this interview with you.
Great, yeah.
So you've rattled off what you've done. You do a million and one things. You have a digital agency yourself. You have an online store. You do events for entrepreneurs. So anyone listening, if you haven't seen the Entrepreneur Evenings on Facebook or anything like that, just give it a quick search. There's a Facebook group and everything. He gets loads of really good, interesting entrepreneurs, and it's about different topics every month. Yeah?
Yeah.
Great. So give us a little bit of insight into who you are and grown up. Was there anyone in your family that was like a business owner or anything like that?
No, not particularly. My parents aren't entrepreneurs. My dad has a bit of an entrepreneurial flair in him. He's been involved with lots of things, and he does quite work a bit himself, but he's always worked as part of another business. I have no idea where I got it from. Maybe somewhere in the past. I believe like maybe my grandparents or great grandparents, I think, might have owned some businesses back in the day.
Yeah.
But other than that, I have no idea where it came from. I've just always kind of had a passion for entrepreneurship, business, and just kind of creating things. So since I was young, I was from being like a 4-year-old in my front garden upselling like toys and sweets. Like I was like thinking about it the other day where like I think I would sell off my old toys, say they were like €5 to buy them originally. I'd use them for about a year and then probably sold them off for like a tidy profit. Yeah, like and I always managed to get away with it, you know.
Yeah.
I had no idea why. But look, I wasn't stealing any money. I mean they got lots of benefit out of my well used toys and they're always in great condition. So and then kind of as I grew up I was always really involved in music. And it's very hard, at least back then, so that would have been like the early mid 2000s.
Right.
There was no, for young people or teenagers or preteens, there was no real ability to have a music scene. There was no venues or places that you could do that. You always had to be over 18 for a band to play. So that was something, so we always used to play in our homes, and we really wanted to get out there or like play to our peers and stuff. So in order, if I always feel like if there's something you feel that's missing, like don't sit around complaining about it or blame the government or think somebody should do something about it. Like go and do it yourself. So it's exactly what I did. Or myself and a few people got together and we started organizing kind of like monthly gigs.
Yeah.
So we'd go and rent a space, and usually we'd get it for free, because a lot of people had spaces. I mean, there's a lot of church halls and there's community centres and youth clubs or scout halls and things like that. And we just kind of pitched in our ideas of like, we've got 4 or 5 local bands that want to play. We're going to charge people €2 to come and see them, and then all that money will go to a charity we've picked.
Yeah.
And it just worked, so we did it, and it was like something that kept us really busy, kept us from causing trouble. We still cause a lot of trouble, I'm sure. But
yeah, you probably have, yeah.
But it was just kind of, that was where like we like literally just went and did it. And it was, looking back, and I think it was really impressive for a young
100%
group of young people to go and do that. And I think it's really inspiring.
I think it's quite entrepreneurial in itself.
Yeah,
like, I know
exactly,
it's music and stuff, and well, you can be a singer and like you do all that, but like you're trying to hustle your way in, and you're trying to figure out like a venue and how to get the audience in, and you're just trying to make things work, which I think is really
and we really did learn the hard way, and we jumped in the deep end and that kind of thing. And I mean, I guess everybody treats entrepreneurship as well, a lot of people would see it as kind of like starting a business, or you're there to kind of like make this big company and make millions of euro and then sell it and move. And like entrepreneurship to me is more about creating something from nothing and like making something worthwhile that didn't exist. So my next business or this business doesn't have to be a multi-million euro business, but as long as it made a difference or it did something that I think that's important.
I totally feel that from you. I relate to that as well, but I definitely feel it from you. You always want to make an impact, even if it's like client work or whatever. You're always looking to help people, and it really shows. Okay, so that's kind of like your teenager. So bring us up to like, did you have any like education after school or anything like that?
So then when I left school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to kind of work for myself and do something. Right. So I went and studied entrepreneurship in IADT, and that was great 4 years. It's a really like, it's predominantly kind of an art college, but it's got like a kind of creative. It's got like the business school, it's got the humanities, which would be kind of like English, and then it's got the art school as well. So everybody thinks it's the art college, but there's a lot more to it. But it's a really great creative hub. So you're kind of there with lots of very different, interesting people, because it does have a huge kind of web and media presence. So you've got a lot of developers, you've got graphic designers, you've got people, you've got the film school there, and then you've got the business, you've got the English writers and stuff. So it's putting those all together, like it's easily just a marketing agency. But so I did business there, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I went through the 4 years, and I ended the 4 years, got my degree, and I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? And I still didn't know. So I kind of I thought back on all the things I'd been involved with, and the one thing that I thought like really resonated throughout college and my teenage years was I was always kind of doing like promotions and marketing for things. So I thought, well, like that's really interesting. Maybe I could turn that into a business. So I spent the summer, I saved a bit of money, and I went straight into doing a postgrad in digital marketing.
Right.
And I studied that, learned everything I could. I'd probably already spent so much of my time on social media. I played around building websites in the past and stuff. And I did that. I studied that, finished that. I went to work for an agency very briefly. I thought, I'll go in here and I'll learn everything I need to know, spend 5 years maybe, and then I'll start my own thing. I lasted all about 3 months. I was like, I know everything I need to know now. I'll start my own thing. So I always say this, and it doesn't always sound believable. I did literally like finish on a Friday, and the following Monday I was sitting in like an empty office being like, right,
here we are.
Here I am. Here's my business now. Open the laptop, and like there was nothing.
Cobwebs.
Yeah, and then from there I just stayed at it, and that's the beginning of Castle 33. I actually got the name of Castle 33 from that office, because it was. I spent a whole day writing names on a whiteboard, and you landed on your same name. So. But I just ended up. The office was number 33 Castle Street.
So there we go.
There you are, and that's there. And then just stayed at it, and that's been like nearly 5.5 years.
5.5 years.
And here we are today.
So did you start that business with anyone else, or what?
Yeah, so I went in thinking, I'll just go and do it, and we'll figure out a business. And a guy that I'd met while I was doing the postgrad was finishing up. He was still working for an agency when I kind of decided to go solo, and he was finishing up with them, and he wasn't sure what to do. So I said, look, let's do this idea together.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 4 weeks later, he showed up at the office. He showed up at the empty office with a blank laptop, and then we got really stuck into it. So it has been the two of us since the start.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm to blame for him
Gone
not
down this
having
route.
this like huge successful career working for, I don't know, Google or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just we joined forces, and we've been stuck to each other ever since.
Cool. I suppose if you could tell people what, like, some of the work that you're most proud of with Castle 33, with your agency, like, what have you guys got up to over the past? You've been, has it 5 years, isn't it? You've
Yeah.
Been, yeah.
Just
So
over-
is there
just over
anything
5 years.
that really kind of sticks out? Maybe companies that you've worked with, anything like that? What do you love most?
Worked with a hell of a lot of companies. Some crazy big companies that I never thought we would be able to work with, and some that I can't probably say the name.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
this. But like some of the big kind of like tech companies, some big Irish companies. Predominantly who we work with is actually mostly small and medium, and we kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because then we get to actually meet the
owner.
the owners or the kind of higher level people in it, and I think the relationships are really good.
Yeah.
But we've worked with some really good businesses, really interesting, some really bad ones as well. But like that's part of the whole journey.
Yeah.
And we've pretty much done all sorts of like building brands from zero to then becoming really successful companies themselves, and to watch someone come in and say, look, this is my idea, and can you help me come up with the name, the brand, then build a website, then do all our marketing campaigns. We've done literally all that to them being like a hugely successful business that's like more successful than us. But like to be part of that journey with them has been really amazing. I think that's like one of my favorite things to do.
That's the
start
moment.
with an early business and see them grow. But yeah, I'm just really, really proud of what we've done and sort of surviving this long as well.
It's
definitely
a battle. Like, what do they say? I don't even know if this statistic is right. It was like 90-something% of most businesses fail within the first year, or they don't make it. So like,
it's something like there's always different variations, but it's something like that. And like, I mean, sadly, seems to be true. I don't know whether it's from people just getting too frustrated with working for yourselves, or just not being able to get clients. But yeah, it's.
What do you think about that? So obviously we all get frustrated, we all do. But how do you manage, let's say, like a stressful situation, like when you're trying to run your business day to day? Like, could you give any advice to anyone that's looking to start up a business? Maybe like a few tips of how they can manage their mind.
I mean, so it feels like I've been on it forever. I definitely haven't, but I think I manage my stress and my insecurities about business and clients a lot better than I did before. It's not to say that they still don't exist, but I think it took me a long time to realize that like a big part, I think, of being an entrepreneur or running your own business is always comparing yourself to somebody else or somebody else who's maybe doing the same thing. But like, here comes a new, just take us for example, like here comes a new agency or something, and they've just started, and now they seem to have 20 employees and all the biggest things. And like, how did they do that? Like, why are they doing so well? And you're always kind of comparing and against other people, and then I think that brings you down. You get stressed out, like, oh, we're not doing enough, or what we're doing is wrong, and totally freak out. And I think that's a big like cycle that'll totally put you off running your own business or getting things, because you're just freaking out, you're overthinking it. And I think the most important thing is to not compare yourself to those people, because not compare yourself to anybody really, because you're on a totally different journey. You're at a different place. Like, they might have had a head start, you might have had a head start.
They might have got funding, they might have got money.
Funding, they might not have got funding. You could be at it for 5 years, and they could have been on it for 10 years, and they're just not telling you, or they could be acting like the business is great, but it's not. $1 million debt, you know, like, so. But we never know, and I think that's also an important thing to think about in life as well, like outside of business. So I think that's like one really good way to stop comparing yourself to other people. I think it's important something that most entrepreneurs or people in business don't do is like take breaks or go a bit easy on yourself. Like, we used to work all day, every day, like weekends. Work all through the weekends, work 12, 14, 16 hours, like unnecessary things. But you did it because like you felt like you had to show up, or I had to put in all these extra hours
vision,
because
it's your future.
It's my vision, or it's my passion, or look, somebody else is doing it, or the client needs all this extra stuff. And
How isolating was that for you? So think of it back then. You're 20 something. You're trying to live your life. You're trying to make a business for yourself. Most of your friends are maybe going to festivals or they're going away for like 2 weeks, and you're here like, I can't do that. I need to be focusing on this.
You
like,
do kind of like
sacrifice, you know.
You sit in this empty room and everybody's out. I finished work at 5 o'clock out in the sunny beer garden or something, or like. You do. You separate yourself. You wish you were out there, or you wish you didn't have the passion to be an entrepreneur. You wish you just went and worked for somebody else where you were stress-free and had a consistent paycheck. But I think it's definitely worth it.
Definitely.
But to say that don't work yourself way too hard. You know, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to go on a holiday.
Yeah.
You know. That's the one thing, like people don't really go on holidays because you're like, oh, what if the business fails? Yeah, I mean, when you're small and you obviously have a lot of responsibility to make sure whatever, again, in marketing, whatever campaigns are going, they're still running. But I mean, it's okay to delegate out to somebody, or even just to be honest with the client and say, look, I need to pull back a little bit here, or I'm going to do extra work in this week, so then the next week I can totally take it off and you won't be able to call me. Because it's not like your customers and everybody else don't go on holidays. They always go away and they don't reply to emails, you know. So yeah, take a break. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like you don't even like. If you did 8 hours, you did 12 hours. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's the hours.
No, it's how productive you are. Really,
we always measure things by hours, but like. I know I could probably do the same amount of work in 6 that I could do in 12. Sometimes you need to put it in if you have a big deadline, but like those extra hours when you're pushing yourself to like 10 o'clock at night, it's like you're not actually really doing much, you know?
Yeah.
It's better to be more focused and productive in a shorter amount of time than anything. And we can kind of see that a lot in how work is moving for a lot of other people as well. A lot of companies who are saying, well, actually, you can only work 4 days if you want.
Yeah.
You can squish your work into a shorter amount of period of time, so you have more break. A lot of companies are going that way, or remotely working. Like if you want to stay at home for a day, or so we're seeing that it doesn't have to be that old model of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or you need to commit to X hours to be X productive. You know. Yeah.
Cool. So, just touching on what you said there, you were talking about. Well, I asked you about like how did you deal with stress and everything like that, which kind of, when I started working with you, we kind of had a good kind of connection talking about like our mental health and kind of seeing how other people are, and like where we're just really conscious, I think, more than any other. Say, I don't want to talk specifically about males, but you know what I'm trying to say. So you taught me a lot and introduced me to the Stoic philosophy, and I've gone on and I've read stuff, and I'm really interested about that Stoic philosophy itself. So how did that find you? And then how did it lead you to start up this other venture that you have?
So that's the whole thing in itself. So I've always had like, or for as long as I can remember, like I know it seems to be the topic of the moment, but like mental health seems to be a big issue for everybody, and I've always kind of struggled with it. I have my ups and downs, and it's always been something that I'm trying to work on myself. I'm very vocal about it as well, because I think that's like a very important thing.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think for the longest time I probably avoided it, and I think when I came across a few methods, I just decided to be honest and like, I'm going to try everything I could. Everything from medication to going to a therapist to meditation to
group work and stuff,
group talking to people to everything. And I think it was one thing that like really stuck out to me was all about kind of like your mindset or how you think about things. And I think it was Tim Ferriss, probably, listening to his podcasts. He talks a lot about Stoicism and like these old kind of Greek and Roman philosophers, and it was all about like how really like what really brings us down a lot of the time is how we react to things and not the things themselves, and that's kind of a huge part of the Stoic philosophy. And the more I looked into that, the more I researched, I started to see the connections between that and a very popular thing at the moment, which is CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
So like a lot of things that stress you out or brings you anxiety or depression is a lot about how you think about things. So it's about like challenging those thoughts, whether it's like writing them down or analyzing them. Like it's kind of like even strategic as well. You look at your business problems, and then how to sort them out. And I just found that was really, really good, and that was something that was really under the radar and most people didn't know. So I learned a lot about that, and I got really into Stoicism, which is kind of like, they always say, kind of like a basis of a lot of what CBT comes from. So I read a lot of the philosophers, and I thought like nobody knows what's going on, and like at least anyway in Ireland, or at least the younger demographics of like people in their 30s or 20s or early 30s or that kind of thing. So, yes, the more I got into it, the more I thought it would be great to kind of spread that message. So I had a look online for things. I was like, oh, I'd love to get like a poster or something to like put on my wall, or kind of a story to tell, something that I could show to people that they might be able to like, oh, what's that? And I get talking about it. I couldn't really find anything online. So in thinking back to Tim Ferriss, he was always saying like, I read the I don't know, like the 4-Hour Work Week
I'm in the
book,
middle of reading it,
and like a big part of that is okay, trying to come up with your business idea that like, or your passive income idea or whatever that is like he always says like scratch your own itch. So if there's something you want or something that like means a lot to you, like then just go and do that for you. You know, like if you are the one, like if you're the customer of where you're going to understand it really, really well. So I was like, well, that stuff doesn't exist, so why don't I do it? So I thought, okay, two basic things is like posters and t-shirts. That's what young people like, really like posters, which obviously for quotes for philosophy, and then t-shirts, online stores are like really, really popular with young people. So I just went and did it. So I have a little bit of design skills from my marketing work, and I just designed all this stuff, built an online store, and just put it out there. And it's doing really well. Like, I mean, I don't put a huge amount of effort into it. I do a little bit of content online, kind of push it that way, and it's slowly but surely like picking up traction.
Organically,
and, I actually don't do any advertising. I don't do any paid advertising. I just kind of put out some nice, like, worthwhile content about it, and I'm part of the community or do those kind of things. And like, I'm getting orders from Dublin all the way over to Texas and all these different places, just from people just kind of discovering it and finding it, and that's really cool. So
definitely,
that's just kind of how I came about doing that. And now I'm going over this October to Athens to go to the Stoic conference, like in the first place. It's like ridiculous.
Anywhere.
So clearly I will be like head to toe in all my gear, wearing a poster as my like cape or something. But so that's just how it came about, and I've been loving it ever since. And then the last year I've noticed just a big, huge explosion. Everybody's like talking about Stoicism. It's become really, really big for business people and just people in kind of looking to maybe better themselves or get themselves out of a rut. But that's great. I definitely go and check it out.
Cool. So that's I just wanted to touch on that side of your business. What's next? Oh yeah, Entrepreneur Evenings. So why did you start such an event? Like, what was the whole point behind it? Like, why do you not get time during the week to network with other entrepreneurs? Did you want to build a community?
It was the community aspect, I think. Like what you said earlier on, about like being lonely when you're kind of isolated when you're working on your business. There's no one to talk to, maybe your friends don't understand because they're in their nice
9 to 5
jobs or whatever, and it's a totally different ballgame for you. And I knew that was like one of the hardest things to get over in the early years when we were running our business. And I kind of looked around Dublin, and there wasn't really much going on. There was a lot of like tech startup events and things in that space, but it just wasn't for me because like a lot of Dublin scene is based around like kind of tech apps, that kind of stuff, and it's not. I'm just more of a traditional service, and I had a lot of friends and contacts that again were just maybe people selling food products or selling more traditional stuff that wasn't very techie based, and there was nothing really going on for them to connect with. And the stuff that was very like networking heavy, like showing up at 7 a.m., handing out your business card, talking to as many people. And it wasn't like a community. It wasn't there to help each other with problems. So I had like kind of how I met yourself through like Instagram, online kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I did the same with a guy called James McCormick, who runs a few businesses based around like coffee. Like, he seems to be I think he's the coffee baron or the barista baron on Instagram. So like he's big into his coffee. And we kind of had that discussion. I suppose he's in the same thing because it's all about coffee. So it's not a tech startup.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I know that. I'm kind of resonated. So that just kind of spurred me when I was sitting at the coffee shop. So definitely just went for it. And I said, okay, we'll put out the feelers. We'll ask a few people we know. I think we sat down. You were like in the first one. And there was like 7 of us.
No, I think there was about 12 maybe, 12 or 15. We were in a big circle.
Oh yeah, a little like circle. Yeah. And
talking about what
just
we wanted
chatting or like what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then just kept at it and month on month and grew it into like a platform with like actual people coming in to speak about their business. And now we're getting like tons of people like selling. I've set that it's all free, but I do ticketing, and we've like our max capacity is 120 tickets, and every month now it's being sold out.
That's brilliant. So we'll stop here and say, if anyone was interested in coming to an event or finding you anywhere,
so if you go onto Facebook, we have a Facebook group. It's Entrepreneur Evenings Dublin. And then the website is entrepreneurevenings.com. So it just has all the information about the next meetup and how you can get tickets and everything like that. And it's great. It's held in the city centre every month. Definitely, I'd love for people. And it's open to everybody as well who's like, you don't need to have a business.
Yeah,
you don't need to be experienced. You could just be thinking about it, or even you could have your full 9-to-5 job now and just be like, I really like the idea of entrepreneurship, or I want to find out more about these people. It's open to everybody, and there's lovely coffee and conversations and
totally. I definitely recommend it myself. So speaking about entrepreneurship, what advice could you give to someone who's even thinking of starting a business? Like, what is the few fundamental things that they need to do, or what else? What would they need to do? Yeah, so like planning, like market research. What do you think if you were to do something again, starting out fresh? What would be your priority?
I mean, if you are in a good job and I have this idea, am I going to take the leap to do it? Really do a good bit of research, see what the competitor situation is like, see if people really want it. I know, like I was saying, like do something that you'd be interested in stuff, but kind of put the feelers out to see if other people want it. Do as much kind of research as you can and plan it out. Plan out in advance of like, okay, how much maybe money do I need in the bank to keep myself going for 6-12 months while I try this? How much money do I need to even, if it's a physical thing where I need to put a lot of money in investment, how far do I have to get? So I think planning is an important stage, but I would also say you can also stop yourself from doing anything if you spend way too much planning. Like I know so many people who just sit around planning all day and then nothing ever happens. So
no business,
there's a happy medium between planning, and then I would always say just like go and do it. Just get shit done, get out there and give it a shot. If after 6 months you've been thinking about it and you still really want to do it and you believe that you can do it, then just go and do it. And it's terrifying and it's a big risk, but I mean, that's what it is. That's the game. Is. That would be one kind of, I suppose, tip. Other than obviously the tips from earlier is like take care of yourself, taking the breaks as you go.
What about self-promotion? Because speaking personally, well, I haven't spent a lot of time promoting myself, say online or anything like that. I'd be quite shy. Like even starting this podcast, it took me a while to kind of get around the fact that I wanted to speak to people. And I had to forget about myself. I was like, I want to talk to other entrepreneurs. That's what I want to do. And I shouldn't be considering what anyone else, like if anyone listens to it and I sound stupid or I fuck up a word or whatever like that. So how do you approach this whole self-promotion thing? Because there could be like too much. But
I do a good bit kind of about myself as kind of a brand online. Pretty active on Instagram would be my main social platform, and then
what's your handle?
At Eoin DM, EOIN DM. Give me all the followers. And I have a website with a blog on it. I would say the same as you. I've been meaning to start a podcast for ages, or to do videos. I have no problem talking to people, but I'm a bit terrified to do that kind of. I know what you mean.
Once like there's a camera on or a microphone,
yeah, or just like looking at yourself. I don't mind doing this with you or with somebody. I've done a countless, like lots of things with cameras and microphones, but then when you do it for yourself, or you have to look at yourself for like the editing process, that's really off-putting.
100%.
But like with most things in life, I think it's like the same as going to a gym. You go in, you're afraid to go into the gym and pick up the weights or do something because you think everybody's staring at you and they're going to judge you. And the funny thing is that everybody is thinking the exact same thing. So everybody's so worried that other people are looking at them. They're so focused on themselves that nobody's actually looking at anybody else. So you're all just worrying about yourself. Like, and if people want to see and enjoy the stuff out there that you put out there, they'll look at it, they'll follow you and engage with it. If they don't want it, like people aren't inherently mean. I know there's like trolls and people on huge platforms.
Chicken boy 234
you would be lucky to get that amount of hate online because you know then you're doing really, really well, and you piss someone off because they know you're doing really well. So like, no one's gonna go on and say, "Oh my God, your podcast is terrible. Like, stop doing it."
No.
Like, so I'm just gonna go to the comment section now. So like, yeah, put it out there and see, and if it's something that you really, really enjoy, keep at it. You know, like, I haven't blogged in a while, but I was blogging like every week for a long time, and I wasn't really even looking at the analytics. I just did it as a kind of therapeutic thing of like, I really like putting out this stuff, and I did it for myself. And it turned out lots of people read it that I didn't even realize. They like, when I kind of stopped doing it for a while, I got really busy and I went away and everything. They were like, "Oh, where's the weekly post?" and whatever. And I thought that was hilarious. And I think that's a really good sign, is because you're not focused on everybody else or getting all the likes or getting more subscribers and trying to like.
It's a healthy way to approach it. Definitely.
Yeah, you're doing it for yourself, and you're being, I think, more authentic. So I think if you're gonna do self-promotion, don't be afraid to do it and be authentic. I mean, like if you look at the Americans, like they're totally mad for it. It's like over the top. So no matter how confident you are in Ireland, you will never get to that level of a very confident American person. So you're doing pretty well.
So that's we've covered that. So maybe I'm into personal development. I'm sure you are too. Is there any, maybe give us 3 or 4 books that you would read or recommend to people, and maybe on personal development, Stoicism, business or marketing? Cause
wow. So
because me and you are little book nerds, I suppose. Like we get through a few books. You probably more than me, but I do like to read the occasional book, and I do see value in books. And a lot of people turn away from. Do you feel the same? I feel the same. That not as many people are buying books, the Kindle and stuff. But I actually like real.
I love the
real books.
I like the process of going into the shop and buying it. Like I buy some online if I'm going to do a big batch, but I actually like going into the shop and like touching them and feeling them, and I'm like, oh. So that's so relaxing about a bookshop. And then like actually having them and like flicking through them and then being able to like close the book when you're finished. I was like, I did that. It's about like
scribbling all over it.
A Kindle is just like reading a PDF and you don't feel any accomplishment.
I don't at all. No.
That's kind of half the fun of reading a book. I mean, that's a good few books. I read so many over the last year. I just like went overdrive. I went from like never reading a book for years to just went crazy. The ones that stick out to me is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. The big popular one, actually, was really popular last year, was The Subtle Art of
Not Giving a Fuck.
I think Mark Manson or Mason. They're really good. For somebody that's thinking of going and starting their own business, I'd say The 4-Hour Workweek is interesting. It's a little bit like dated. There's a few things that are a little bit dated. I think there is probably an updated one since.
It could very well. I have an extended edition now. I think it was like 2015 or 2016. So it's relatively.
It's like, I think there's this big section that's kind of on about using, like, I suppose, the internet and like all the different platforms that you could use. And I think maybe obviously so that stuff changed so rapidly you can never really keep up on it. But the core of the idea and the way they approach it is really good. I mean, you can't go wrong with reading some of the Greek Stoics. It can be very heavy stuff, but like it's really insightful. Yeah, I think the list is endless. I did put a huge list together actually. I think on a blog one time. Share that
Did
with
you?
you.
Yeah, you can. I'll link
any
it up.
more I can think of that are
Yeah,
really
no, I'll
good,
link
but,
that up.
yeah.
So I know people can't see it now
Yeah.
because we're doing a podcast, but you've taken, especially this year, you've taken a big shift and focus on your physical health as well, because we all know that like we have to look after ourselves. Mental health is important, physical health, the whole lot. So you're after getting in shape. Well done. Very impressed.
Thank you.
Muscle
I see
man
you're
over
like
there.
smirking at me like you're stop flirting.
I'm winking at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, how important has that been to us? Let's talk about mental health again. Like, how's that? Like, why have you focused on that? And is it important for entrepreneurs to focus on their physical health too?
Yeah, so that was probably, like I kind of said earlier, I tried everything to kind of see what could improve my mental health, and the exercise is the last thing on the list. I've never ever been into exercising at all. I skipped probably nearly every gym class I could in school. I never got into sports really. Never played five-a-side with the lads. Like, you would never want me to play five-a-side on your team. I just never really got into it. So health, like exercise and fitness and stuff was just never part of my routine. And it became even less and less of a part when I started the business and I got into it, because like you don't really have much time, and then if you're not, you don't want to go to the gym or exercise. But obviously that is like very far down the line of like, well, you can come up with every excuse not to do it. So like not going to the gym and then eating really badly. So like sitting around in the office working really late, you eat terribly. So it's like microwave meals or like takeaways and constant bad stuff, you know. So like, yeah, so over time I just like got really unhealthy, put on a lot of weight. And that really also dragged down on like just my self-worth, you know.
Yeah.
I think everybody can relate to that. Like if you don't feel good about yourself, just like it's terrible. And it was kind of, I went on the holidays to Brazil last year, and there was some, like I never, like, I mean, it's Ireland, so you're never really in shorts,
right,
or like swim, you don't go swimming or whatever. So you never really look at yourself when you're like nearly naked. And I saw these photos from when I was there at like swim pool. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's who I am now. I've come that far, you know? And that really shook me. So I was like, okay, I have to do something about it. So I joined I had a membership in the local gym beside the office for so long, and I just never went.
Collecting dust.
Like, yeah, it was serious. They're like, sorry, do you go here? It's like, I was like, I've been paying
donation
for
every
years.
month going to the gym.
So I noticed that this kind of like small, really intense training place opened up just right around the corner from the office. It's called F45, and it's like high intensity interval training, and it like looked at business and it was like promising all these results and blah blah blah. And, you know, you see that kind of stuff and you're like, oh, it's bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, look, I'll give it a shot. It's not cheap. It's not the same price as a gym membership, but it's very class based. You go in, you do 45 minutes, you get like, just like, you really put on a sweat. Like what maybe some people would do over the space of 3 classes, gym sessions, you do like in one. And there's like 2-3 personal trainers there all the time, motivating you, showing you how to do things. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll learn a lot from this and everything. And yes, and I just stuck at it. Now I go 5-6 days a week. It seems obsessive, but it's actually, then you got to get really, really into it. I do it every morning before I come to the office. So it actually gets me out of bed, and it kind of wakes me up and sets me up for the day. And it actually did work. Those results were not
they weren't
fake. They weren't photoshopped or, you know, those things. Like it really worked. I don't have a 6-pack or anything, but like I just
but then
just got
like you're looking so much better, and the mental side of the mental side of
so
things,
then that's another aspect. It really helps. Like I remember the people, one of the doctors I would talk to, they're like, oh, do you do any exercise? And I go, we really recommend that you do like 30 minutes or something a day, or like really high intensity stuff. And I just remember like, yeah, right, I'm never going to be doing that. And then when I started in this place, I was like, wait a minute, that's what the guy said. And so it does really help. I know everybody says that exercise helps, but it does really help. And it really helps. Like the mornings for me have always been like the worst kind of time, because you wake up and you're like, oh, having to start the day kind of thing, and like forcing yourself to get out of bed and go to the gym and get your shit done, and then you've like just got this community now. So like I know when you go to the gym, you might not know anybody there, but like this place, like you, now I know everybody like that goes to the class and everything. And like Saturday night, we had a little like gym. I never thought I'd say that I was going to a gym summer party. Or I went to the Christmas party. I was like, what is that? Who am I? But like then we met up outside of the gym. It was like, this is great. You know, it was another place to have a community and like a support group. And
yeah, love it.
That's invaluable. You know. So
yeah,
there you go.
Brilliant. I think you've offered loads of advice here today for anyone listening, any business owners now or people thinking about starting their own business. A lot of good insight, mental health, physical health, all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me and do this podcast. Is there anywhere that you'd like people to follow you on Instagram, Facebook, maybe subscribe to the Entrepreneur Evenings, anything like that?
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to reach out to me, like I said, I'm on all the social medias. The place I'm most active and I seem to be making friends, Curtis, is Instagram. So it's ONDM, so EOINDM. The amount of people who can't pronounce what Owen is.
EOINDM.
Yeah, there you go. So just that, and I literally have that handle and URL on every single thing in the world. It's
personal branding.
So like .com. Yeah, there's a personal branding for you. So you can find me anywhere. Like even ONDM@gmail is like. It's ridiculous that.
Brilliant.
So if anybody wants to like follow me or message me or reach out, cup of coffee, like any advice, you know, totally give me a shout. And then if you want to come along to Entrepreneur Evenings, entrepreneurevenings.com, and you'll kind of get the links to the Facebook and the tickets and find out everything there. Yeah.
Brilliant, Jeff. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll see you next week.